hello, and welcome back to a new episode of the Leading Yourself podcast. This is a short bonus episode. Today, I want to share with you something that I shared every year since we started the podcast about this time of the year, and that is how to pick your powered word of the year. Welcome to the Leading Yourself podcast. This is your host, Carolina de Arriba. I'm an HR professional, health and fitness coach, wife, mom, and above all things, a goal-getter. In this podcast, we're going to be digging into all things leadership, professional and career development, habits, and relationships. This is a podcast for those who want to become the best version of themselves. Those who have big dreams and are willing to embrace the journey and put in the work to achieve them. My goal is to share with you the tools, tips, and tricks to help you in your journey. So let's dig into today's episode. You're ready to leave 2023 behind and start making changes in 2024? You know, at this time of the year, we all tend to start to think about our New Year resolutions. And I personally do not believe in New Year resolutions. I mean, if we go to the facts, 80% of people who set New Year resolutions give up on their resolutions by mid-February. So instead of that, one thing that I have been doing for the past few years is picking a word of the year. And I not only pick the word, but I also think about what it means to me in this season of my life. And then I have engraved it on a bracelet that I can wear every day to remind me of my word. And most importantly, what word means to me in this season of my life. I love the idea of choosing a word of the year versus New Year resolutions because it helps bring focus and clarity to what we want to create in our lives in the season that we are right now. The process of choosing a word helps you focus on the goals and the actions that you want to work on for the next year. It also helps you determine your priorities. We all play different roles in our lives, and when sitting down to set goals and intentions for the year, it can be sometimes a little bit overwhelming to prioritize among all of them. And it can feel even more overwhelming afterwards to keep up and stick to all of those goals and intentions. Picking a word of the year can weave all those goals in all the areas of your life together to help you focus and pay attention on how everything relates to the other parts. And at the end of the day, we are one person living one life. If you like this idea of creating a word of the year, I want to share with you a few easy steps to help guide you in choosing your 2024 word of the year, or as I like to call it, your power word. Think about your year as a book. I love books. Reading them, writing. I love everything about books. So I like to look at every year of my life as a book with 12 chapters and 365 pages. So picking the power word is like titling that book before you even start writing a single page in that book. When you know what the title of the book is, then you can be intentional about what you write in every page and every chapter of that book. So let's go step by step, and I'm going to break it down in 5 simple steps how you can pick your power word for 2024. So the first step is to visualize the year ahead. I really believe in the power of visualization. Every year, at the end of the year, I like to take some time to visualize the year ahead. How I want my life to be a year from now. What have I accomplished? How do I want to feel? What am I enjoying in 2024? And after visualizing all of that, like playing my 2024 as if I was watching a movie, right? It's just that the movie hasn't been produced yet, it hasn't been recorded yet, but just visualizing how that movie will play, how would I like it to be? After that short visualization, I try to answer a few questions. And if I want to change my life from how is it today to what I saw in my visualization, then I ask myself, what do I need more of in my life? What do I need less in my life? What skills do I need to develop? Who do I need to become to live that life that I visualize? Who do I want to become to live the life that I want? To live the year that I want? Then, step number 2, I make a list of all the things that I want to focus on this year. I like to do like a brainstorming of all the things that I want to focus on, that I want to experience, that I want to accomplish in the year. This is not a list of my goals, but it's just like an initial brainstorm. The way I like to do this is start with a blank piece of paper, and right after doing my visualization exercise that I explained on the previous step, I start writing anything that comes to my mind for at least 10 minutes without stopping. I kind of write down anything that comes to my mind from that visualization, things that I saw, things that I want to feel, things that I want to experience. Like I write everything down in a blank piece of paper. Then step number 3 is to create a list. So after writing down all the things that I want to focus on, that I want to experience in the upcoming year, I take a few minutes to read through the list that I just came up with. And on a separate piece of paper, I write all the words that come to my mind. Basically, what I'm doing is brainstorming ideas for my power word of the year. Once again, this is just a brainstorming exercise, so the key is not to overthink it. Don't self-edit, right? That is not allowed in this exercise. Any word that comes to your mind goes into the paper. My best advice at this step is just write any word that comes to your mind. Only one word per line, but there's no limit on how many words you can write down. It has to be one word per line, right? It's not sentences, but words that we're looking for right now. And it's also critical that you don't critique, you don't question, and you don't edit any word that you write down in that piece of paper. Okay, step number 4 is to review, refine, and pick your word. So what I like to do next is to review the list and narrow it down to my favorite words. Chances are that as you review the list, you'll start to see a theme going on. Do any of the words that you wrote down jump up at you? Do any of the words make you feel excited or nervous or scared or uncomfortable or at ease? How do all these words make you feel? Sometimes the words that scare us most can mean we're on the right track because change isn't always easy. At the same time, I think that finding your word can also bring peace and empowerment. So paying attention to how these words make you feel is an important part of this refinement process. As you start to see patterns and themes, and as you narrow the list down to a few words that really speak to you, think about the word and see which one feels right. There is no science to this. It's kind of an art. There is no need to overanalyze this process. Just trust your gut instinct. This last review and refinement can take some time and multiple iterations, and is at this point where you can experiment some of that analysis paralysis. That is why, as I said, it's important that you do not overthink it. This is not a logical decision that you're making. This is an emotional decision that you're making. Just listen to your gut. The first time I did this exercise, I was really struggling to pick the one and only one word. So I made a mistake of asking other people for their opinions. And I think this was the worst mistake I could make because your word is yours and only yours. It needs to speak to you and no one else. So I want to prevent you from making the same mistake that I did, and don't ask others for their opinion. If it takes multiple days going through the list, multiple iterations going through that list until you narrowed it down to the one word that really speaks to you, that you can see becoming the theme for next year, that's what it takes. But this is a very individual process that only you can do, because at the end of the day is your life and it needs to feel right to you. Now, as you finish this refinement and you pick your word, we come to the last step, which is keep your word visible. Now that you have identified your power word for 2024, it's important that you keep it somewhere visible. So every time you see it, it can remind you of your vision for the year, your priorities, and most importantly, the person that you want to become. I have been engraving my word on a bracelet that I've been wearing throughout the year, or anytime that I go to a special event where I really need to remind myself of that word, I've been wearing this bracelet. And I'm planning to create one or order one this year as well. I'll put on a link on the show notes of the podcast episode how you can get as well your own bracelet and engrave with your power word if that's something that you want to try. For me, it's really helpful because in those days that I feel lost, that I need to refocus on my priorities, or that I just need a reminder of what I want to accomplish, how do I want to feel, who I want to become, then I can look at my bracelet, I can look at my word, and I get reminded of that, and I'm able to refocus my attention into that. So once again, I'm going to put on the show notes a link. If you want to order your bracelet, you can take a look at the one that I've been ordering for the last, maybe 3 or 4 years. I think I started in 2020 with the pandemic ordering these bracelets. Now, if you need some extra help, if you feel that you're struggling coming up with just the one word, I'm also going to add on the show notes a link to a workbook that you can, or a resource that you can download. It's basically a list of words that can help you get inspired. So instead of starting with a blank piece of paper, writing down the words, what you can do is to highlight in this sheet that I'm going to attach for you on the show notes. You can highlight the words that speak to you, and that way you can narrow it down to your 2024 power word. I can't wait to hear what word you pick for 2024. I would love for you to share. You can text me, you can message me on Instagram or on LinkedIn or on Facebook, any of the social media platforms. I would love to see what are your word for 2024. Please share. Maybe share it with others, with friends, with family, with colleagues. Share your word and share why you picked that word. Share also what are your intentions around that word. And if you want to take it to the next level, tell those people around you how they can help you in 2024 to live up to your power word. I hope you liked today's episode. I hope you find it inspiring as always. I would appreciate if you can share this episode with a couple of friends that you think can benefit from picking their power word for 2024. With that, I hope you have an amazing day, an amazing end of the year. Wishing you the best in 2024. Can't wait to talk to you again here on the Leading Yourself podcast. Happy holidays.